Stretch the space and stitch it up. Stretch the space and stitch it up. The world pushes on us, doesn't it? The world pushes on us. Our physical environment, this heat, my God, our health, the health of our loved ones. It pushes on us through the financial environment. We deal with pressures from inflation and pressures from financial security and how we're going to pay our bills. And it pushes on us through interpersonal environments, right? People in our lives. How many of you have at least one person, man, they know how to push on you? All right? And in the last few years, we have all been through some kind of seemingly catastrophic change. The pandemic, loss of jobs, loss of homes, loss of loved ones. And these big things, when we're not ready for them, when we haven't practiced strong mental fitness, those things can really hurt, and sometimes they can even break us. And in addition to these really big things that can happen at any moment, we are every single day inundated with cascading small pressures and stresses and challenges and changes and people. And sometimes it just can become overbearing. If you want an example, I decided for you that I was going to document 24 hours of things in my life that pushed on me. So yesterday morning, very first thing, I get up, I go into the bathroom. There's no toilet paper on the roll. Right, first thing so you have to do that waddle thing to try to get to the toilet paper on the other side of the room. So that started off my day, and I thought, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to see if I can get a bite to eat. And I swear I just got groceries, and there is no food in the house. Where did it go? So I decided to settle for a cup of coffee, and again, I swear every dish in the house is dirty. Except for that coffee cup on the top shelf. Do I have any shorties out there? Short people problems? And so I'm reaching, and I am making noises, and there are expletives coming out, and my husband comes running up the stairs, and he says, what's wrong? And I said, the universe is trying to stop me from having coffee today. And I'm trying to get ready, and I'm on a tight deadline, and my dog is my shadow, and she's following me around, and I swear I'm going to trip on her, and she's going to break a hip, and can I please just pee and shower in peace? Can you leave me alone? And this continued, and I had pressures coming from clients. I had pressures coming from my doctor. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I got notification that he won't refill my prescriptions until I schedule an office visit. You are holding my life hostage for an office visit. My point is, the world pushes on us, right? It pushes on us through the big things, but it also pushes on us through the really little things. And if we're not careful, we can fall into a very reactive state of living, where pressures come at us and we act without thinking and we're impulsive. And what happens when we stay in that mode too long is we develop bad habits. There are unforeseen consequences, like damaged relationships, damaged self-esteem, and even damaged reputation. But it's hard. It's hard to control our thoughts and our reactions because they don't come from a rational place. Those reactions come from a place deep inside of us. I'd like to explain. From the moment you began to exist, you've been experiencing the world around you. Even before you were born, you were sensing things, feeling things, and your mind has been cataloging every experience. It's been filing away every cause and effect, every emotion, and every thought. Everything you think you know about the world, everything you know to be true and right and moral and just is a unique interpretation based on how you've processed the world and your life up to this moment. You see, we take in the world through our 5 senses: smell, sound, sight, taste, and touch, that send electrical signals to our brain that cause us to have a thought, a feeling, an impulse, and it all gets processed and interpreted and filed away for us to draw upon another day. Now, as an infant, it was simple. Were you fed? Were you clean and dry? Were you warm and safe? Were you loved? And you likely don't remember, but yes or no, your mind has a file on that. And as you grew to be a toddler, you had to rely on other people's reactions and responses to the world to guide you. And you listened, and you observed what other people said and did, and your mind has files on that. Think back on all of the experiences, all of the files that your mind has on how you see the world, on how you see yourself, where you lived, where you traveled, your happy family life, or your not so happy family life, what your parents did for work, what they said about their work, conversations you overheard about politics and social issues, and things you learned about world events. Things you like, things you don't like, how you did at school, how you did at recess, what you like or what you think you are not good at, how you were labeled by your classmates, your parents, your teachers, your friends, things you got in trouble for, and times you received praise, all of the things you were told about yourself. What you see when you look in the mirror have shaped your lenses, have colored the reality through which you see the world today. So what? It's in the past. Isn't that what all the experts say? You just have to learn to put the past behind you, right? You just have to learn to be positive and choose happiness. There's a couple things that I have a problem with there. First, you can't put the past behind you. Cognitive and behavioral science shows that you carry your past with you, and if you try to ignore it, it's going to surprise you. It will bite you, it will knock you down, and it can hurt. So my advice is to get acquainted with your past. Turn around, give it a wave once in a while. Get to know it, because for all of the splendor and beauty and horror or trauma, it's brought you right here to where you are today, and it's made you who you are. Embrace it. The other thing that I hate is, the idea that we can choose happiness. I think happiness is a result, because what we've learned is that we don't get to choose how we feel, at least not in the moment. See, when something happens to you that causes a negative emotional response, especially a negative emotional response, your brain is like an obnoxious bartender. And it takes a look at what just happened, and it compares it to your history of experience. It says, well, we've been here before. Let's have a little self-doubt, maybe a little bit of anxiety, and some fear. We'll add that in there. And then this one is my favorite. It's called blind rage. And you do not get a choice on whether or not your brain drinks this cocktail. You gotta do it. But here, there are two things in this metaphor. First of all, we don't have to keep drinking. We can taste the drink, and we can stop, and we can ask our bartender why that was the drink they chose. The legendary psychiatrist Viktor Frankl says that between stimulus and response, we all have a space. And it is in that space that we have our greatest human freedom. And that is our freedom to choose. The other part of this metaphor I want you to remember is we also know it's not good to drink and drive. So what I like to teach audiences is how to recognize their initial reaction and take a minute to think about it. Take a minute to think about what they're feeling, what their first response might be, and is that the best response? And then to think strategically about what you're actually going to do next to get an outcome for an improved result. So my Stitch It Up mantra has 4 mental stitches that I teach audiences. So the mantra is to stretch the space and stitch it up. And the 4 mental stitches are awareness, acceptance, attitude, and accountability. You just saw a piece of what I instruct on when it comes to awareness. Acceptance is all about understanding what we can and can't control in our lives. Attitude is all about our self-talk and the power of our mindset. And accountability is about taking ownership, not only in the moment, but it's also about taking time for self-reflection at the end of the day when maybe we didn't stretch the space enough when maybe we reacted in a way that didn't get us the results that we wanted. So I'm Lena Scullard, and what I do is I help individuals in organizations really embrace and understand the power of personal choice. Whether I'm doing a 60-minute keynote or a 4-hour workshop, I come from corporate training, so I always take a learner-first approach, which means interaction. And what I do, no matter what the topic is I help people understand themselves and see themselves differently so that they can see how to behave differently and then get better results out of their work and out of their life. My topics help people do this in the hard moments, like Stitch It Up. It helps people do it in their overall big picture of their life. I help people do this in their interpersonal relationships, and I help leaders do this with their teams. So Stitch It Up, again, I said it's a mantra, which is a word or phrase of affirmation that you say to yourself to remind yourself to focus forward and focus on what's next. So stretch the space and stitch it up. Do it with me. Take a deep breath. Stretch the space and stitch it up. I can't wait to talk to you at lunch. And 20 seconds, Angela. Thank you so much.